Hi, and welcome to IT Chronicles 10 in Tech, coming to you from Knowledge 18 in Las Vegas. I'm Kirsty McGowan. I'm here with my co-host, Carlos Casanova.
Hey, Kirsty.
Hi, Carlos. And we have the pleasure of speaking with Marc Talluto from Fruition. Hi,
Hello.
Marc.
Hello. Thank you.
So, Marc, I guess first thing is it Fruition or is it DXC Fruition? What exactly is it? It's changed a little bit.
Right, it's been a wild ride in the last few years. So, technically, we are DXC Fruition. That is the brand of the practice.
Okay.
But they're still choosing to retain the Fruition brand because it's been a part of the ServiceNow ecosystem now for a decade.
Wow.
Which is really, I mean, it's great for us because it still represents what our brand is kind of within the ecosystem. People connect with Fruition and experience.
Sure.
But DXC, being a new company, only 1 year old, this massive merger, obviously they want their name in front too. So DXC Fruition is the technical title.
Yeah. So how has that changed what you guys are doing in terms of, again, like you said, you've been doing this for a while. You founded Fruition, with a certain intention. I mean, the market has changed somewhat, or maybe just expanded extensively. How has that changed? The solutions you're delivering, the problems you're encountering.
Boy, it has changed. So the acquisition, of course, right? The acquisition has changed almost everything that we do. So by the time when we were acquired, a lot of things were happening within the ecosystem. ServiceNow was becoming much more popular, more prevalent. There are a lot of bigger players like Accenture, like CSC is the one who actually acquired us now, DXC. Much larger players getting into the game.
Yeah.
And so what we saw is we really kind of needed to make a move, right? As Fruition, a very young, small, regional partner. We have a lot of great talent around the ServiceNow platform, but all these larger players were starting to come in, right? People saw what was happening with ServiceNow, how it was being used across the enterprise. So the biggest impact for us is it gives us a couple things. One is the global perspective, right? Working with customers and clients that have issues around the world, things that they need to solve 24/7, how they choose to use ServiceNow to solve those things. So a couple things that have happened since acquisition. One of them is continuous acquisition. So DXC came to Fruition and said, well, not only would we like to acquire Fruition partners, we would like for you to be the platform so that we can build a ServiceNow practice on you. Okay. So then we additionally acquired UXC Keystone. They were one of the first partners out of Australia. We acquired Aspidians out of mainland Europe, so we have mainland Europe. We recently closed an acquisition with Logicalis' SMC group out of the Netherlands. So we really have a global footprint.
Right.
So we see these, really kind of incredible challenges that the organizations have. But one thing I have learned is in the young days of Fruition, there's very much a fake it till you make it mentality. Yep. That doesn't fly when you're servicing the Fortune 500. Yeah. So it takes longer sometimes to build and vet these solutions because they're affecting huge companies, huge corporations that have impacts around the world. So just a couple things we have built. And additionally, I'll say this, not only do we work for large organizations, we have the resources of a large organization. We have the experience of a large organization from DXC. We've built things for their cyber community. So I forget, it's about $1 billion plus business, one of the largest managed security providers in the world as DXC, and their needs of ServiceNow. So then we go and help ourselves internally. Sometimes our biggest customers are DXC and how we're choosing to use ServiceNow for those customers. So pretty much everything's changed. I mean, it used to be, a simple project for, I don't want to say Ed's muffler shop, but it was, smaller customers with smaller issues. And now it's much bigger customers, much bigger challenges.
So what are the major challenges you are seeing at the moment? What's new out there that's...
Boy.
I mean, the DevOps world obviously that throws a whole new spanner in the works at times as well.
Well, we're in a unique position where we have a couple things. I'd say everyone has embraced ServiceNow. Yep. It's almost like the de facto standard. IT service management, I'm thinking back from a decade ago of when ITIL, ServiceNow, what is this service management concept? But I see there's this massive disparity between the companies that got it and have moved on significantly, and they are moving into HR, and they're moving into all the things we see at the conference today. They're really taking the concept of service management to the enterprise and to the shared services. That's amazing. Yeah. And at the other end of the spectrum, there are people who are still on 15, 20-year-old versions of enterprise software. Yep. And that's actually a part of, with the merger between CSC and HPES, if you remember enterprise software, HP Enterprise Software Group had service management, Service Anywhere. This is now gone off to Micro Focus, but they're still customers. That it's like they were looking at ServiceNow from a distance, seeing all of the amazing gains. So we still, so part of us is working on what's new, and part of us is working on bringing those organizations with this legacy software and still bringing them.
That would be
a
tough.
Yeah,
that's pretty tough to do. They'd be very entrenched in the whole process. You do this, then this, then this, then this. And trying to drag them into the new world
They're hungry for it because they know what they've been missing.
Yeah,
it's like, I think we all say this, which is, you go home and use technology and it's amazing.
Yes.
And then you come back to work and you're like, there's a time warp in the front door.
Yes.
Like, what happened?
Yeah.
So the demand is there, people know it, but I don't think they realize how much it impacts their job, how much it impacts just their day-to-day, what they're used to, the transparency now within their work environment when you have the service management system. So it affects so much, but there will, especially some of those organizations, they want to do that. But the biggest thing is organizational change management is still the heart of
the whole people side of things is if you didn't have people, it'd be easy.
I know, right? Just the robots would be great.
Yeah.
But to your point too, it's working with some of these organizations, when you can benefit, when you can help them get to a much more a broader service management principle and concept. As consumers, we don't recognize that. I mean, you and I and us, we may, because we kind of know how it works. The sausage factory behind the scenes is working.
Right.
When we're having challenges with just in our daily lives, engaging with a retailer or whatever, and things don't work right, we scratch our heads like, why? And that's the disconnect I think they sometimes don't recognize is, and ultimately for us that have been around for a while and have been talking about it in the terms of service management, not just a change ticket, an incident ticket.
Right.
It's this greater concept. We understood it. So but it's depressing almost when you see some of these organizations still lagging behind, or companies that used to be more progressive and for whatever reason, poor leadership or lack of leadership have regressed now. So so how do you? I know I'm challenged at times. I walk into an organization, the people bringing us in, I look and I say, they are the ones that are the problem. Yeah. Because how that's a challenge. We've all run into it. How do you guys approach that, especially now as a larger organization that has the power of DXC behind you?
First off, as you were telling your story about what you see in the world, I immediately thought of if you've ever rented a car, and not the places that have like a little signature pad, but the places that print something out in triplicate, and then they tear off the sides, and they still. I'm like, really? I'm like, what year is it? Why do you still do that? But when we go into the challenge of the really large enterprises is that sometimes they've grown through acquisitions. So they're not one company with one centralized control. They're 10 to 20 different regional sub-companies with their own culture within their organization. But their data is also so fragmented and their work processes are so fragmented that it is, that's probably the biggest challenge. Is sometimes you don't have your starting point is actually 10 yards behind, where you're used to. We'll ask simple questions like, well, who are the people that work here? And they're like, well,
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean?
It's like we have 18 different companies.
Right, I've got
so
this group, which 7 John
which
Smiths,
group
and I can't uniquely identify the people. So sometimes you start with a base knowledge or assumption that they're operating a certain way, and you go, oh.
Okay,
let's back.
Let's
just dial this back. The harder part about that is there is a massive acceleration curve within those organizations, though, because it seems like nothing's happening for a long time because you're really just cleaning up all the other things.
And
but once suddenly it's all in one place. And then once people have a moment like, oh, you have all of this data, it's all correct. Well, can I use it for this and this?
Of course you can.
It just balloons.
Right. But you have to get through that. It takes time. For these large organizations to finally get to that. It's just that pivot point, and suddenly they can accelerate.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies too, they go into the process of implementing something like ServiceNow, and they think that the technology side of it is going to be the hardest bit.
That's going to solve everything, right?
I call it the gym membership problem. Right?
They think,
put
we're
the
going to
money
put
down
this
for the
in.
gym membership, and like,
hey,
and
really the technology side of it is the easy part.
It is, every time. I would say every project when we go in there, we say, listen, technology is never the inhibiting factor of what we're trying to do.
And that is where the problem is, that's where they put their efforts, as we're going to put this technology in, and all their resource and budgeting goes into getting that platform right. And if they forget about the people, then it's just not going to work anyway.
Well, I think about even the tools we replace. We spent years just replacing BMC Remedy.
Yep.
But you go into some customers and it's actually working very fine.
Yeah.
It's just a very robust tool. It can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so how you sit there and go, but it's the same exact technology, just applied in different customers in different ways. And you're right. We always say, listen, this is about 80% organizational change, process improvement, willingness to adapt.
Yep.
You know.
The thing is, we get told that so many times, but we still get it wrong.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's I don't know if it's good reminiscing about the pains that we've all been through or not, but it is good to hear that you guys are making some great progress, and we look forward to seeing more of that. Thank you again.
Thanks.